So 2 to 5 minutes is very short and very long at the same time. And throughout the time, whenever we pitch it to startups, the underlining of it is really to practice, to interact, and a variety of other little things. So before jumping into the presentation, please don't shy away. You have 45 minutes with me. I'm going to do a quick presentation. I could do the presentation in 45 minutes, in 3 hours, or in 10 minutes. There is like some key aspect that I want you to keep in mind, and I'm going to show them to you at the end. But in the meantime, feel free to interrupt me. Feel free to ask questions. Feel free to show your face, whatever you want. Really feel free to do so. I wish we were here all physically. Unfortunately, with the COVID situation, we're not. But the beauty of it is I'm able to interact and like do a presentation with you, even though I'm a few thousand kilometers away. So I will share my screen here. I hope I don't have anything bad on it. And yeah, so as Kautar was saying, on my end specifically, I just finished like a couple hours ago the final of the AI for Tomorrow competition. It's a French competition, and we judged pitches. With my work for Cooperaton, we had 1,500 participants, more than 150 teams that finished, and we judged pitches. I've been throughout my time coaching or working or judging more than 1,000 pitch throughout the time. And it comes back to few little things that are really fundamental when you're talking about a pitch. This is not my presentation. I'm just going to share this from our friends here from an incubator. He took this. You can see my view, so I'm just going ahead.
Yes, we.
Like if you can't explain it simply, you don't. Like if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well. It may sound simple to say that, and a lot of people feel that like 2 minutes is a long time, 5 minutes is a long time. My advice is like a pitch has to go from an elevator pitch of like 30 seconds in an elevator or 1 minute up to a few hours actually, if you have a deeper time with the potential investors or else. So no matter the time you have, you will have to take that time to be able to make sense of it. So always be ready to pitch in that regard. So we'll try to do it quickly. I'll talk a bit about the structure of the pitch, and I would like you to understand one thing, because many people get caught into trying to explain what they do, to explain and to dive a lot into details. But the reality is that a pitch is truly just the tip of the iceberg. The pitch is really just the little story that you want to tell that will allow your counterpart or the audience that you're saying that build certain key elements with you. And those key elements are what the relationship will be based upon, as well as their appetite to open the door for you for a second meeting. And those two aspects are the most important part of your pitch, actually. So it's really the tip of the iceberg to get a second relationship where you can explain as you see what's under the water. And that's the part that is more about the explanation of the concept. Many people throughout the year I've met try to dive into explanation, explaining how it works, etc., etc. Whereas the reality is that it's more like a teaser, that tip of the iceberg that has some key messages, but the explications, they stop there. There are few hints at how you can engage with that audience, especially for people in the room here who've never done such a pitch. And so there are few aspects such as like interacting with your audience, and of course we are far away, and of course it's COVID, and of course you'll pitch behind your screen. And even though some key elements are really about the body language, about the eye contact, about the smile, but those are many things that you can do behind your screen as well. And so don't feel shy because there is a screen, as well as use few words that can really engage, and the posture as well. And I know that when Kautar told me, oh, can you help me, give me like the right structure? What is the right structure for the pitch? How can they sell their product? And I said, you know what? Let's do a little workshop or presentation on the pitch and start by some fundamentals. Because at the end of the day, the audience and knowing the audience that you're going to interact with is actually more important than what you're actually selling. It's your attitude, it's your body language, it's your eye contact, but as well as it's a few other things that I'm going to dive into. But in this teaser that we're talking about, that pitch, there is some few words that are actually fairly important. And whether you are starting by opening or breaking the ice with words such as like you, or starting with the big statistic that they will not expect, or start with something that make you more vulnerable, like how did you get to think about this problem, or just asking a large question that will make your audience wonder. Those are some important aspects. But as my advice there would be, your body language, your eyes, your smile, of course, but you start your pitch as well by something that sets you apart from the other, whether it's like a shocking affirmation or a question, or even like how did you get to dive into this. And the reason why I'm saying this is that, like, yes, I can give you a simple structure of a pitch, but the reality is that like every pitch should be different. Every pitch should be unique, and it depends on your product, on your team, on yourself, on your life, on your story. And those are like actually very important part to make you memorable and make the audience want to interact with you more, build the trust with you, and open the door for the next meeting. So that's actually really important. This is your goal, and understanding the goal of your pitch or your presentation is truly important. So for me, my goal right now is for you to understand the structure of the pitch, but also be able to apply it and make it more personable, more relatable, more memorable than any other pitch. Even though like you're a few dozen people here, but it's a lot about like your own pitch. It's not the McDonald's of pitches here. But within every pitch, whether it's 30 seconds or 3 minutes, 5 minutes, or even 3 hours, you have to highlight the needs. What are you offering that distinguishes you from the others? What are truly the benefits of your solution? And most of all, you have to create rapport. You have to create trust. You have to create credibility with the audience, no matter who your audience is. And speaking of audience, this is really crucial to know your audience and the goal of your pitch. Right now, it is to win, because you still need to win that competition. It is to build that trust for them to know that you're able to move that solution forward, to build it, and to have the impact that is underlining it. Some other moments, the goal is more around investment, or the goal is more around a buyer. And truly, again, like I'll go back to this, a pitch is always, you can always practice it, you can always make it better, you can always head towards getting a good pitch, but it's the horizon, and you'll have to practice it many, many times. One of the key aspects that I tell people, and usually like younger people or like younger startups are always wondering, I advise people to practice 100 times. You will truly 100 times is really, really important to practice it that many times. You'd be surprised, but you will need to get to a level where you have practiced it enough that it becomes natural. I know it seems paradoxical when you say like, but if I repeat it 100 times, I will become automated. No, it's not true actually. You own it far more. You make it natural, and you can practice it at home, in the street, in front of your friend, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whenever you are. And truly, after 100 times, you will make it your own, and it will become natural. So what is in a pitch? Well, it's not about facts. A pitch is really about the story that you're telling. I will share the example of this pitch. And the reason why I put this pitch is this guy, as you see, like with his hands in the air, and he's like taking the stage by storm at a very large conference here in Canada called Startup Fest. If one day you get the chance to come to Canada, that would be amazing. He ended up winning that. And he did everything that you would expect to be wrong in a pitch. He still won the competition, and he went on with a few $100,000. The reason why I put this example is that your pitch has to be aligned with who you are, your personality, and own it. And this guy just went on the stage and he started telling this huge story and very loudly, etc., etc. But what it made him memorable, trustworthy, and people wanted to meet him again. 3 simple characteristics that set him apart and made him win the competition. Sorry. Yes. So what's the oldest job on earth? Don't have some dirty minds or anything, but it's a storyteller. From the early days of humanity, it was always about stories. It was always telling stories to people around the fire or anything or something like that. So, but at the same time, when you tell a story, you cannot please everyone. And that's why I go back to one important thing is know your audience and apply it specifically to that audience. You cannot be the friend of everyone. You cannot please everyone, and it's absolutely normal. So first, know your target, that audience that I just talked about. Know exactly who are you targeting. Who is in your audience? What is the goal that you want to achieve with that pitch? In this case, it's winning this competition. In this case, it's getting the buy-in and making people move forward with you in your project. Same thing for your goal. For your audience and the goal that you're setting. Third, and I know it may sound weird, but it's listen. And I know I'm behind the screen, but I still kept that listen part. If I was on a stage, I would listen by watching you. I would listen by engaging with you, and I would listen to your body language, listen to your reactions, etc. In this case, it's a bit different because I'm in front of a screen, but I have to keep in mind who's behind that screen. So same thing for you when you're going to present, always listen to your audience. And if you were noticing, I put 2 times the number 2, just to that I know that whether you are listening or not. So that's the third point. Listen to your audience, even if they are behind the screen. So how do you build a good story? I am going to give you a structure in a few minutes. You are going to have that structure. And I haven't done that so far because I really want you to own that aspect of that story that you want to tell, that trust that you want to build with your user or with your audience before creating the structure, before thinking even about the right structure. There are some elements that are key. I hinted at them at the beginning, but it's really important to keep in mind that it's the trust again and the bond that you're linking with the audience that is key. But behind it, that will set you apart. And trust me, if you apply this, and I've worked with more than 1,000 actually, I stopped counting after reaching that, but it's really important. So start with a bang. As I said earlier, either with a fact that is surprising, a question that engages with the audience, or even a personal story that really sets you apart and that makes it relatable with the audience. But start with something that is already memorable. The finish line also will have to be memorable. And people will have like a blurry aspect of your pitch in the middle. But starting fast and starting well and finishing fast and finishing well is important. And that's why I tell you, like, make the structure that I'm going to present you afterwards your own. So that the strong elements at the beginning, strong elements at the end, and in the middle, of course, ideally great elements as well. Put things into context. What sets you apart again? Like, put things into context and imagine, make them imagine, make your audience imagine what the future could be with your solution. Make your audience the hero. Put it, how can you use your solution to bring your audience, to bring that market to a new state of being that is unique and that will stay memorable. It may not seem super clear with everyone, but you'll see when I get to the structure. But you have to take your audience on a journey where, from that context, make them imagine where life or where society or whatever solution you're bringing will be or can be thanks to your solution. show how are you able to act upon it. How are you able to actually deliver that state of new bliss, of new state of being? And also, what do you really do to change the status quo, to empower your audience? Because at the end of the day, it's about them. So how do you empower them? How are you making that status quo change thanks to you? And of course, don't be a pea in a pod. Be memorable. Make people remember you. And you don't need to have like 10 things that are memorable. Just one aspect that really sets you apart. If you see in my presentation, I think that already some people, when they were seeing like the GIFs, the animated things, etc., were like, what the fuck? Why is this guy showing us GIFs? Why isn't it like a super serious presentation with like a structure? The reason why I do that is that I had a very standard presentation at the beginning with like, those are like the 10 slides that you should have. This is what you have to do, blah, blah, blah. But then people don't talk about it and they don't necessarily remember everything and how important and the reason why it's so important. So I started doing GIFs, and at the end, people started coming back to me being like, wow, that was weird, but like I really enjoyed it. So I would love to know your comments here about using GIFs, not using GIFs, looking more professional, or having a mix between this kind of like a bit of a weird GIFs and at the same time some content that is truly important for you to be able to make a dent in this pitching universe. So in short, move my senses, I want to feel it. Second, strengthen your messages. Find a way to strengthen your messages. As I said, it's about the visual connection, the little gifts, maybe some hints at it, and some strong examples. Keep and be the conductor of that story. You are the owner, you are the director or the conductor of that story, and practice. And as I said, always, always, always practice. But at the same time, some fun can go a long way because you wouldn't be memorable otherwise. But stay true to yourself. And it's really important, again, for people to be true to themselves and don't fight who they are, but rather leverage who they are. So having ownership. If you're someone who's more shy, more structured, it's fine. You don't need to put like some crazy stuff on your slides. But as I showed with the pitch, that one at Startup Fest 2017, it was really about a guy who went completely off board, but he was into character. That was him, and that created trust because it was a line between who he was and what he presented. And that is really, really important. Yeah, and your audience can go through a hero's journey. Now, we can get into the more structural aspects. I will take a few seconds in case you have any question or any, like, what's going on there. No questions, feel free to chat in the box if you have any question. Kautar, you're kind of like my co-pilot of today's presentation. So if anyone asks a question or have any doubts, or if you want to give me any comment or clarify something, feel free to do so, either by unmuting your mic and just interrupting me. I'm very comfortable with that, or sending a message in the chat, and then Kautar can relay that, or text Kautar if you have her number. But again, I don't want this to be a full-on, very, very long presentation, so I'll try to stop it in a few minutes. I have way more slides. I have some examples if you want examples, but I would love if the people who are in the room, some people can think about the kind of like pitch that they can give. And again, like whether it's 2 minutes or 5 minutes, I will tell you some key elements. Now, this is like 10 standard slides, a bit that are kind of like think of the content, not necessarily the structure as like 1, 2, 3. And I'm saying this, please, please, please. I know you're at school, but trust me, in real life, you don't need to just follow the rules as they are. So I tried by having that first part of the presentation, not about the rules and breaking a bit of the rules. And please, whatever I'm going to present in the next few seconds, don't necessarily listen to me. Please keep in mind, make it your own, make it memorable, own it, practice it, move the slides around, drop some slides, focus, start with your strength, finish with yours. Please don't follow everything I'm saying. Make it your own.
Mr. Ilias, I have a question.
Yes.
In our pitch, do we have to present it? I mean, do we have to present a presentation? I mean, like slides, or while talking, or just we have to present our pitch all just by.
That's a great question, Umayma. Is that Umayma?
Yes, it's me.
So thanks for your question, Umayma. I will want to clarify if there are some rules in the jury that people need to abide by. But my understanding, Umayma, is that I advise to have slides that support. And the reason why, if you remember in my presentation when I said like move my sense, is that you would be wasting one of the senses if you don't use 20 slides. But even if you choose to make your presentation in 2 minutes, even in 2 minutes, having 2 or 3 slides will allow you to create a visual interaction with your audience and for them to move one of their senses there. So they can visualize.
Yes, it's clear now. Thanks.
Wonderful. So thanks and kudos, Umayma, for breaking the ice of these interactions between me and you guys.
Yes.
So thank you very much, Umayma, for that.
We also have a question from Haytham.
There are examples of slides.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Kautar.
Haytham in the chat wants to ask a question.
Yes. Haytham, go ahead.
Hello. First of all, about I don't think you should change anything. We really love your personality.
Thank you very much.
That's the first thing I noticed from the beginning of the webinar. For my question, when we are working on a pitch that should represent the startup, shouldn't we talk more about the startup, or just create a story that the startup will be the hero of that story, or should we create a balance between the two?
That's a great question. I will finish my presentation and I will let you judge.
Okay.
But you're absolutely right. Keep that question for later. This is a very important question. What is the balance between the two? Between being memorable, but still keeping the structure, keeping the content. Because the story is just a vehicle. It's really important that the key elements are still there. And I'm going to talk about them right now. So thank you very much, one, for the nice words, Haytham. And second, for bringing me to the next part. So that first part was, think of it as an introduction. I set the table for you to kind of like make it better your own, what I'm going to present in the next few seconds. If I had just like 5 minutes to do that presentation at the workshop, and I already had to do it in 5 minutes, I go super fast through the first slides, and then I just present